I have a design here, and I'm going to just start bending the wire and cutting it to whatever length. I drew it actual size so that I could lay the pieces of wire out. I'm using 16 gauge wire to sort of make a frame for this sort of peacock feather design that I've got. And you just kind of keep messing with the wire. You got to flatten it a little bit as you go, cutting to the length that you'd like. Most of this is just bending it by hand, but you're welcome to use pliers for things like loops. You do have to file the ends so that they are flush with whatever they're connecting to. Throughout this, you're going to see me file and refile and file and refile and cut and refile, because that's just what you have to do. There's a lot of precision going on here, and maybe a lot of frustration, a lot of very tedious little things that you want to pay attention to. And I'm going to admit, my craftsmanship is not stellar on this, but this is mostly so that you can see what the technique is. I've filed things flush so that when I can connect them, they'll solder more successfully. You do have to take things to a steel block and hammer them. Otherwise, they're not going to sit flat on your solder board. So now I've made a first attempt. Make sure that there's flux in between each piece. And then I use a brush to apply one tiny piece of solder, and I mean tiny piece of solder, at every connection point. Using a flux brush is helpful because then the flux holds on to that solder. And the key here is just to have a lower flame and to heat it evenly throughout. You're not using a lot of flux, so you don't have to do a lot of hovering to dry out the flux. But you want to have a solder pick handy just in case. Heat it evenly, and because copper and silver both conduct heat really quickly and efficiently, this doesn't take very long. It takes maybe less than a minute for the soldering to happen. So you just watch it. That worked. Now that goes into the pickle, and now I'm going to start on the interior. I'm using 18 gauge from here on out. So one tiny little piece of solder, making sure that the flux gets in between the seam. And then this is going to solder very quickly. Notice it's not a perfect circle, but the ends meet perfectly. So as soon as it flows, it goes right where it's supposed to. That went well. So I shaped it and I did the interior frame. That was the next couple of steps that I did. So I shaped them, filed the ends, made sure that they were all connected, and then I soldered them together. You won't see this step. I started to fit the other pieces just sort of casually, just so that I had something to work with once I soldered the interior line and that heart shape together. So you just notice I bend, and I cut, and I file. And I'm using this piece of wire, but my wire's going everywhere. I'll show you a trick in a second that's going to make this a whole lot easier. I should have started with this, but I didn't, because I didn't even think of it. I've always done things the hard way. So this is the interior, and that just held together very well. There's a couple of gappy kind of spots where I probably should have filed a little bit better, but on your copper model you don't have to be quite so perfectionist, but this interior part went really well. This is the trick I'm talking about. Tape gets the graphite, so if you just get a piece of tape, put put it right on your drawing and then peel it up, then you've got something to go by. It's a backward drawing, but it still works. It just means that you're going to solder the backside. I just went with just the tape here, but it went very smoothly from here on out, holding the pieces. So here's where I take all of those pieces that I previously cut, and then I just file them a little bit more and shape them. You can use the pliers to hold on to your wires, because sometimes using your fingertips, it's a little tricky, especially if your fingers are too big or if you're shaky. So using the pliers to put things back in place, that's helpful. So I did the exact same thing. So now I didn't dirty up the previous solder seams, but we certainly can. We can use whiteout or we can use the liquid dirt. I just placed pieces of solder exactly right where they are. There's a lot of seams that I'm trying to connect here, so they may not all connect in this solder attempt. But you do the exact same thing. I'm heating everything evenly, even the things that I soldered before. The more connections you have, the more the heat is distributed. If there are any pieces that are getting too hot, you will need to use a solder pick to press down on them to cool them off so that they don't overheat. And if you're using silver, you don't want them to melt, because that certainly will happen. But right now everything's going well. We're getting up to red hot. And we watch the solder melt. As soon as you see that happen, you take it away. Went pretty well. I put it in the pickle for about 3 or 4 minutes, and then I scrubbed it very, very lightly. But there's a couple of spots that didn't quite connect. So I'm not doing any more in this demonstration, but all you have to do here is just make them so that they do connect. You can pull them a little bit closer together, reflux them, put more solder on there, and make the attempt again. And this is just what you do until you're done.